What's up, strongest men, women, and children from blocks all around the world? I am my block's strongest man, and tonight I brought some extra muscle power, my esteemed guest host, Isaac from Hunger Smash Fitness. What's up, Isaac?
Not much. How are you doing?
Good. So tonight we're going to talk about the 2021 Shaw Classic. So that is the second annual Shaw Classic that everybody's so hyped about. Last year's inaugural Shaw Classic did so well. I think people were really pleased with it, especially the Hummer Tire deadlift finish. And Brian Shaw's put in, he's pulled out all the stops this year. He's gotten a much larger venue. He's going to have crowds there this year. He's building special apparatus, I guess in Latin it would be, for the various events. So I think it's going to be really interesting. And for those of you who have not signed up yet on the Shaw Elite Club, you can cancel after the month, right? You sign up for the 1 month. If you there are a lot of perks to staying on all along, but what I did last year was I did stay on for a few months past the Shaw Classic, canceled, and then very recently re-upped again, so you can do that. And I think it's $8.99 if you want to do it just for the 1 month to watch. And I think well worth it. Like, just thinking about some of the pay-per-views I've paid for in the past, like I've mentioned several times on this channel, I paid $80 for boxing pay-per-views that weren't as exciting as some of the recent Giants live shows that were $4.99. So $8.99 or $8.59 or whatever it was for the Shaw Elite Club month, I think extremely well worth it. And it sounds to me like I got to remind my co-host that we should mute when the other person's talking.
My bad. Am I getting a little?
Yeah. So nice. So what we're going to do this evening is for the Shaw Classic 2021, we're going to go through all the competitors and the lineup. So buckle up your seatbelts. What's up, Tyler, world's strongest blacksmith? Thanks again for jumping in and joining our conversation. So here we go with the 2021 Shaw Classic event breakdown and the lineup. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And Isaac, feel free to jump in whenever you like. I'll make sure and pause. What's up, Super Steve Walnut? He is very excited, as is the world's strongest blacksmith, our buddy Tyler. And we are as well. So let's go ahead and we'll share our screen. So if you guys can all see that, we'll do the event breakdown first. And so I'll talk a little bit and then I'll mute so Isaac can fill in all the blanks that I missed. So there are 8 events, and I'm guessing that the order that they're listed on the Shaw Classic website, it's theshawclassic.com. I'm guessing that order is the day 1, day 2 breakdown. So I don't have information to the contrary. So I took the first 4 events, and they are the log for a max, super yoke, back toss, and car squat. And I believe that will be day 1. So let's go into some of the details. So that log for max is really a given, self-explanatory, right? Athletes begin lifting the log press overhead. They go in different rounds. Everybody tries to do the opening weight. If everybody's successful, they move on to the next weight, and folks are eliminated as they are not able to press that increasing weight, right? And so the weights have not been disclosed about any of these events as far as I know so far. So we're going to have to just talk a little bit more generally for the time being. So that's the log for max. Then we have a super yoke. So there's an arena floor, as I mentioned, and the way the super yoke is going to work is you lift the yoke, run it the length of the floor. You're able to put it down at the other end, turn around, lift it, and run it back to the starting line. And competitors are going to be competing in pairs. And that's one of the cool things Brian's done also in the Shaw Classic this year is he has head-to-head competition, which you don't always see. I will point out they had a lot of that in UK's Strongest Women this past weekend. So if you haven't caught that, try to go on the Facebook website that they have or on the YouTube channel, and all that's in the videos I made about it. You'll see it in the descriptions. Definitely YouTube will still have it up. You should definitely watch that. That was a 2-day competition that was extremely, extremely exciting. So that's how the super yoke's going to work. Then we have bag toss. And the interesting thing about bag toss is they're bags of increasing weights. So they'll be thrown over a 15-foot bar. And then we have a car squat. So car is going to be put into some sort of elevated apparatus or framework, and they'll have a car squat. So I'm sure Isaac's got a lot to say about these 4 events before we talk about the other ones. So let's stop there. I'll stop talking. And Isaac, what do you think about log for max just in terms of the competitors that we have? Or maybe, you know what, let's do this better yet. Let's look at the competitors we have and kind of talk about who's in and who's out, because some changes have happened recently. and then we can talk about what kind of match we think these competitors are with these different events. And I'm going to be doing an actual prediction video separately from this, which I think Isaac is as well. We can give you some kind of general thoughts. So the competitors are Adam Bishop from Great Britain at 6'3", 320 pounds. Maxime Boudreau, who came in on the podium, third place at World's Strongest Man this year, 6'4", 325. I have heard recently as today, that he's battling a broken finger, and he has posted recently that he's been working on shoulder issues in his right shoulder, but has compensated with a lot of training on the left. So a few notes there about what shape he might be coming in. JF Caron is still healing from that hamstring injury from World's Strongest Man. I reached out to him today. He says he's 90% and he is competing. So he is definitely planning on competing at the Shaw Classic. You then have Kevin Ferris, who will be competing. He is from the USA, of course, 6'2", 270, one of the lighter competitors, but punches way above his weight class every time we see him. And then you have Graham Hicks from Great Britain. He's 5'10", 359. And of course, these weights fluctuate from time to time, but this is what Google says. So he, as far as I'm aware, and my sources, my British friends tell me, he is competing. Even with that injury he's recovering from, I guess he feels strong enough to compete. So he is planning to compete. Konstantin Janasha from Georgia, 6'5", 375. Trey Mitchell will be competing from the USA, and he did very well last year at the Shaw Classic. I don't know what it was about his Hummer tire deadlift, but I really enjoyed his form and his execution on that, and can't wait to see it again. So he's 6'4", 340. Alexei Novikov from Ukraine at 6'1", 298. He is out. So he has pulled out. He had a series of injuries leading up to the World Open contest that just happened. And Isaac, maybe we can talk about, dance around a little bit, the other topic of why he may be out. Robert Oberst was supposed to compete as well. He's from the USA, 6'7", 410 pounds, so giant guy, but we all know that. And he's out as well from what I've heard. I heard it's a shoulder injury. So he's out, unfortunately, as well. Would have been interesting to see him compete. Jerry Pritchett was nursing some injuries from World's Strongest Man, like 3 or 4 different injuries from what I remember, but I haven't heard anything that he isn't competing. Reached out to a few different sources, so it sounds like he is. Big Z is Adriunas Savickas from Lithuania, the GOAT in everybody's mind, or in most people's mind, 6'3", 375. He is planning on competing as far as I'm aware, but I heard he just competed last week, so I don't know how fresh he'll be for this particular competition. And then, of course, you have the host, the man himself, Brian Shaw, 4-time World's Strongest Man from the USA, 6'8", 385 or thereabouts, depending on what his fluctuation is these days. So he is competing again in his own competition as he did last year when he actually won the competition last year. And I think a lot of folks excited to be seeing him compete again. I will say, rumor mill, I hear a lot of people saying they don't see how anybody can beat him this year. A lot of people are picking Brian. And so we'll see what I come up with when I do the math and what Isaac comes up with when he does the math. Mikhail Shivlyakov, who we recently saw compete at the World Open as well, 6'2", 309. We'll see him there, and it'll be great to see him do that Hummer tire deadlift for sure. Evan Singleton, who's been on a tear recently, so he's 6'6", 350. Evan Singleton, most famous for coming in second place at the Strongman Classic and winning the very recent World Open that included the deadlift championships, where he deadlifted 453.5, as I recall, because I recall being way off on my prediction on what he would do there. So Evan Singleton really killing it on the one-day events, and I'm very excited to see how he'll fare in this 2-day event. Ivar Schmuckstelis from Latvia at 6'2", 324 will be competing as well, and Ivar is a very well-rounded athlete, has done well in the WUS competitions and Strongman Champions League, and very excited to see him competing as well. He and I are trying to coordinate, trying to get him on for an interview if we can. Bobby Thompson, the pride of the USA, so 6'1", 355. Bobby is great with overhead pressing and deadlifting. He's got it all covered, and we're all very excited to see Bobby competing. And then Gabriel Room, who is recently 2021 Canada's Strongest Man. He just won this year. He is a late addition. He's in for Novikov, from what I understand. So those are your competitors, and those are your day one events. So, Isaac, I'm going to shut up for a bit and let you talk about what you think about some of these events. And let's talk about the events themselves, and then we can talk about how the competitors match up. What are you thinking?
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say, first off, if anyone has doubts about the Shaw Classic or Shaw elite club. There you go. That's what he calls it. He also puts up a bunch of different like training programs and does giveaways and all sorts of other stuff. So if you're paying the $8.99, you're not just getting the live stream. He also has a ton of other good information up there as well. So it's even if you just do it for a month and download everything from the website, you can do that as well. But yeah, I was going to say one of the events I'm super excited to see is the Log for Max, just because Bobby just broke the American record. Sounds like he's still training it. Sounds like he's still getting better at it. And Big Z's coming back, the current holder, which obviously he hasn't been training world record log for, is it 3 years now, 4 years now? It's been a minute since he last broke it. And so I'm not assuming that he's going to be coming back and setting a new world record for log, but it'll be fun to see him competing again. And the last couple competitions that he's done, I think he's won every competition. And I know the last competition he won every single event that he did. So I think he's coming in shape. He's coming in to win, basically. But we'll see. You know, he's a little bit older. He's, you know, past his prime, I guess. And we'll see how kind Father Time is going to be with him in this competition, especially because they are up at elevation. So Estes Park is not at as high of an elevation as Brian's home gym, but you're still a mile up. You know, the air is still thinner at that altitude. So I think that's going to be affecting a lot of people with that. So I think the Log for Max is going to be fantastic. The Super Yoke, I'm assuming it's going to be the 500 kilograms that they did last year. And yeah, that was fun to watch as well. The bag toss, I'm not positive about. 15-foot bar, it seems a little bit on the low side, so that makes me think that maybe Brian's doing a heavier set of bags, but I cannot find any information on how many bags or the range and weight or anything like that. He's keeping it all pretty hush-hush. I've messaged a bunch of different people, and everyone's just said he's not announcing it, I guess. So the car squat, if you watched his video when he was looking for a vehicle for it, he kept mentioning that he was hoping the bar weight would be about 800 pounds or right at 800 pounds. So I'm assuming the car squat will be 800 at the top of the squat and then decreasing in weight as you get lower. But we'll have to see. It'll be super fun. I looking at the apparatuses that he's created, Brian has put in a ton of work creating fantastic equipment for this competition. So I think it's going to be really fun just from a visual side, just seeing everything that he's doing. The tower where they're going to do the arm over arm pull and the medley and everything, like it looks really phenomenal. So he's really going all out to not only create, you know, a good show, put on a good show, but also a fun to watch, a visually appealing show as well. So I think that'll be really interesting. Yeah, Big Z, I think is he's looking pretty fun. Yeah, for the log, I think it's going to be really fun to see he and Bobby go head to head. I think they're going to be the two that are really pushing it, but there's a bunch of other good log pressers in that group as well. So I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, the log press for Max is going to be really interesting because the one we failed to mention, if he's 100%, Graham Hicks is going to be a big threat in the log press for Max. And I've been really excited to see him healed up and see him press some logs because he is an incredible log presser. So we do have some comments. Guanjun 1 is back. What's up, dude? Thanks for coming back today. Be good to see Mitchell, Janasha, Hicks, and of course, Big Z. Trey Mitchell proved what he's capable of at World's Strongest Man this past year. 4th, I believe. He was actually in contention for podium until the very end. And I remember, really, really rooting for him to get it. But Trey Mitchell's been on the come up since a while now, and very excited to see him. World's Strongest Blacksmith mentions the reason why Novikov is off. I'll put that on the screen for about 1 second and then take it away so that I don't get into any kind of trouble. So, yeah, it's medical clearance due to the altercation. If you have heard anything about what happened after the World Open was over, rumors are that it's ramifications from that altercation and medical clearance type of things. Yeah. He also was going into the World Open with bad knees. His knees were really sore and bothering him and injured from he felt them on Atlas Stone prep going into the World Open. So he's got a few different issues going on. And just kind of a quick shout out for any of you who have not checked out Novikov's YouTube channel yet. He has a new YouTube channel, and he just did a video very recently where he broke down his thought process behind the scenes during the whole World Open. It was subtitled, but it's probably the first subtitled video ever that I've watched the whole thing of because it was so interesting. But yeah, he basically goes through his mindset going into the Viking press. I watched Adam compete, and I watched Bilton compete, and I was nervous because I knew I had nothing in my knees, and then the painkillers kicked in. He tells the whole story. It's really, really cool to listen to. So check him out. I think he has it on Instagram as well. So definitely check that out. Let's see. Super Steve Walnut says the splits for Max Log are speculated to be. So which weights? I don't know. Nothing has been mentioned, so not sure. The cool thing though is that if it's in the order listed on Brian Shaw's website, it's the first event, so more possibility for a world record, right? World's Strongest Blacksmith is excited to see the car squat, and then the wheelbarrow into the arm over arm is the second most. The car squat is very interesting to me because when I first read car, my brain registered car deadlift because that's what I've always seen before. And I had a double take squat. Wait, that's different. That's exciting. You always want to see things that you haven't seen before in strongman, right? So car squat, that's, he was really trying to be innovative, which I really do appreciate. And then the wheelbarrow into the arm over arm, on the other hand, seems a little weird to me, but Brian Shaw's got umpteen years of experience and I don't, so it must make sense, and I just don't know about it. To me, it's kind of disciplines that are very different from each other, and kind of, doing a running wheelbarrow and then kind of throwing yourself on the ground to do an arm over arm in a medley seems a little bit of a difficult transition, unlike, for example, at the World Open where you did a farmer's into a chain drag. You're dropping things down and you're in a position already to pick up the chain. It seems like an easier transition, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, Isaac, what do you think about that one?
Yeah, I was going to say with the medley into the arm over arm, I think because both of them are very grip focused events, and they're both, especially when you're 400 pounds, they're both cardio. And so doing a wheelbarrow where you're moving as fast as you can, pushing this weight, or lifting and pushing this weight, going into a arm over arm, you're already going to be exhausted. And so I'm assuming, from what I've seen, it looks like it's going to be similar to the flag hoist that they did at World Ultimate Strongman. And so it's going to be one of those things where it's not a very common event in strongman. You don't see it much anymore, but I think it's going to be really fun, and it's definitely going to gas the athletes, especially because, like I said, they're at altitude. They're pretty high up. It's going to be a phenomenal test of their endurance over 60 seconds or whatever. I'm not sure what the exact time frame he has set for that. But yeah, I think I can understand what he's doing with having it go into the arm over arm, where it's very much a grip motion. It's very much a kind of an endurance thing. And then the next one after that is the dumbbell press. And so I think he's doing it for time again, the 75 seconds. And so kind of finishing up the competition with more endurance type movements. Whereas last year, I don't remember completely how they did it last year. No, last year they did the max log and super yoke and everything. So he's modeling it similarly, I guess. But yeah, I think he's definitely just checking not only strength and grip and everything else, but also just endurance at altitude, like I said.
Yeah, and then just going back, we did mention it's in Estes Park, Colorado. Just so everybody's aware, August 27th and 28th are the days of the competition. And what's up, Kathleen? I see you. You're mentioning not being happy about it not being live online. They did the same thing last year. Idea being, I think they want to not do it as a live stream, but do it as a more polished, edited video. So pros and cons to that. Isaac and I know from being YouTube creators, there are pros and cons to that, right? So we like doing live streams like this specifically for upcoming contests and things where we can get a lot of interaction with the audience. So it's very nice to do a live stream, and just being frank and honest with you, it's less work for us. So if I don't have to do a video and make it perfectly edited and just try to make sure that I speak nice and polished and interact well and I'm prepared with all of my documents here and the live stream comes off fairly smoothly, then that's fine. If you're the type of creator who, you know, really needs that time to go back and edit, and a lot of the best ones do, by the way, I'm learning recently, a lot of the best YouTubers edit quite a lot. But, you know, I think they're doing it for the sense of making it a more polished product instead of trying to get it perfect in real time. So they did the same thing last year, and not surprised at all by that. The thing that is a little more difficult is they're a lot stricter with sharing results than every other show that I've ever covered. And so, you know, that's their prerogative. I follow the rules, like no big deal. I actually got a lot of dislikes last year for saying clearly in my heading, in my subject line, I'm not giving results in this particular video, and people expected them anyway. But, you know, I respect people's rules, and they are what they are. So that's that. But yeah, so let's see. We talked about a few different things. One thing I wanted to say about the wheelbarrow arm over arm medley as well is, did anybody see Brian showing how it operates? I think he had a video out today, which was interesting. So differently from the flag hoist that we saw recently at WUS, this one seems to have a locking mechanism, like a ratchet type of mechanism, where when you get it to a certain height, it stays there. It doesn't fall back down like the flag hoist did, which I found interesting. And the other thing was, I think I was watching it quickly while I was doing something else, but it seemed like you're actually arm over arm pulling a frame, like a frame that you would run with is up in the air with the 4 posts on each corner that you can add plates to. That's what it looked like to me. Isaac, is that what it appeared to be to you?
Yeah, that's what it was looking like. Like I said, I haven't actually seen it in action yet, you know, but it looks cool. Like, and if you look at the pictures of the arena and everything, like it's going to be pretty much dead center, it looks like. And I don't know. I think, like I said, it's a very visually appealing competition this year. I think he's doing a good job with that.
Absolutely. And for anybody who's new to the channel, if you like what you're hearing, please go ahead and like the stream, make sure and subscribe. And there's a little bell notification. Click that and click all, because otherwise YouTube will give you like 10% of what we make in terms of our videos. They won't show you everything. So go ahead and click the bell, click all. And then, of course, you have the super chats available to you, too, if you want to prioritize your comments. Totally optional, but totally appreciate it if you do choose to go that way to help support the channel and everything, all the great content that we're making for you going forward. So let's go on to the Hummer tire deadlift for Max. So this was the highlight of the show last year. Is that fair to say?
Yes, I would agree with that. I think the main reason most of the people watched it was to see the Hummer tire deadlift, and that's the one that you've seen all the video clips from on YouTube and everything afterwards. And the majority of the conversation after the show was all about the Hummer tire deadlift as well.
Yeah, so for those of you that didn't watch last year or haven't seen it on any social media since then, of course, JF Caron breaking, what was it, 1,202 pounds, I believe. So that's the new world record. And then if that wasn't enough, it was followed by a monumental effort by Jerry Pritchett to try to match it. It was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. It was the first time I've ever seen somebody try as hard at a deadlift as Mikhail Shivlyakov. It was just amazing to watch. So can't wait to see what happens this year. Now, of course, Jerry recovering from some injuries at World's Strongest Man. I don't know how fully recovered he is. JF recovering from a torn hamstring at World's Strongest Man. Again, as mentioned earlier, I reached out to him. He said he's at about 90% recovered, but he is going to compete. So I'm not expecting any world records, but you know, we have Adam Bishop in the mix, and he's typically more well-known for deadlift for reps instead of max, but he did a pretty good max at the World Open. He hit 453.5 kilograms, which was a PR for him, I believe.
Yeah, I think Adam's getting much better with the deadlift over time. Well, Novikov is as well. I think both of them are really starting to come into their own a little bit more with it. But I think a lot of these events Adam could be really good at, but as we've mentioned before, Adam's kind of hit and miss. Some competitions he comes in and he just blasts everybody out of the water, and other competitions he, you know, coasts into 6th place. So it kind of depends on where his mindset is as well, I think.
By hit and miss, I think you're referring to my predictions. He hits and I miss. he seems to do really well when I predict him to be mid-pack. So big kudos to Adam Bishop there. And then, of course, how could we forget? I mean, you do need to practice on the implements to get good at them, but you can't overlook Bobby Thompson's capability in the deadlift. So really looking forward to see what he's going to do there. So let's see what other comments we have. World's Strongest Blacksmith says, I think Brian said it will be a live stream. There will be next day video. Yeah, that's what they did last year. Next day video. And again, last year they still did not want the results shared at that point. So I waited until he shared and then I shared. And I'm going to do the same thing this year. Again, I don't want to go against anybody's wishes who's working so hard to put on such a great show. Kathleen, is Novikov going to make it? The answer is no. He is not. He is for sure out. Gabriel Room, Canada's strongest man, is in his place, in his stead. So Novikov's out with medical clearance, medical non-clearance, we'll say. Let's see. What else do we have? World's Strongest Blacksmith, JF. Pena and Bobby looking to pull 540 plus on the deadlift, in my opinion. Yeah. So Gabe is an alternate as far as I'm aware. Is that right?
Yeah. So Gabe's an alternate. And I think, honestly, I'd probably put JF potentially as the leader of that pack, except that I know he's still recovering from the hamstring injury. But that being said, when he last did deadlifting competition, I think he still won the deadlift, even with a pulled hamstring and everything. So don't count JF out. Just because he's only at 90% doesn't mean he's not going to perform, I guess, is what I'm saying.
And by the way, credit to a few of our folks in the comments. They have some late-breaking information. Apparently, Gabriel Pena is taking Oprah's spot, which I wasn't aware of. And we have the OG of my block strongest man, Juan Daniel. Seems like he's the first one to say thank you, Juan. And then World's Strongest Blacksmith confirms Gabe now has Obi's spot. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
I was going to say also, Kathleen mentioned a little bit higher up that she's disappointed that there's not going to be a dancing medley. And I think Brian decided not to do a dance off because Obi's not going to be there. Obi's the one who's always talking about how was a professional swing dancer or something like that. So maybe next year we can get a dancing competition for one of the events.
There you go. And Patrick, you were asking why Obi's out. It seems like some folks in the comments have answered you. It's a shoulder injury. So that's what I heard as well. Awesome. So let's see. What else do we have? We talked about the wheelbarrow and arm over arm medley. We talked about the Hummer tire deadlift for Max. Then we have Circus Dumbbell. So for me, big disappointment that Alexei Novikov is not competing. He won it last year, as I recall. He is, for me, with Kieliszkowski not quite back yet, the best Circus Dumbbell presser in the world. With what I always say, with Brian, the second best Circus Dumbbell presser in the world. So I think that might be part of the reason folks are saying Brian's going to run away with this, because now Circus Dumbbell is his. Kevin Ferris is really good with Circus Dumbbell as well. Missed a couple really close lockouts last year, I remember. I don't know why this number sticks in my head, but I know he got 2 reps and he should have had 4. He was very, and 4 would have done well, points wise. So keep your eye on Kevin Ferris as well. But I think Brian Shaw definitely wins the Circus Dumbbell there. And it's a head-to-head just like it was last year. But Isaac, what are your thoughts on Circus Dumbbell?
Yeah, I think if he does it the same way, because I think it was 110 kilograms for reps last year, but it was the fat, circus grip, whatever. I don't know. I think there's a couple of the guys that have been getting better at it, but honestly, I don't think anyone's going to beat Brian. But Evan Singleton has been getting better at it as well, and so he might be one to watch.
Yeah, you know who agrees with you? Super Steve Walnut agrees with you about Evan.
Oh, I didn't see that. Yeah, I was just going to say, Maxime has been getting a lot better at it as well. That's
Steve.
Funny.
Steve, thanks for reminding me about Maxime, because Max was doing 230 for reps on Instagram recently, and Max is a monster overhead presser, so I would put him up in the top 5 there as well.
I don't think anyone's going to beat Brian, especially since Novikov is out. And like I said, since it's at altitude and everything else. But yeah, I think there's going to be some big pressers with the Circus Dumbbell this year. And then as well with the Atlas stones, because there's a couple guys like Maxime that has really been working on it a lot, and especially since Tom and Luke aren't there. A lot of the events that people specialize at, those people aren't showing up necessarily. So yeah, we'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, this is finishing off with the Atlas stones, as is so common in so many shows. And so Atlas stones will be head-to-head series of Atlas stones, fastest time possible, as we're all accustomed to. And Brian Shaw won the Atlas stones last year, as I recall. I recall Trey Mitchell, I think, being second or third. He was very, very good with the Atlas stones. But the twist this year, in my opinion, is that Evan Singleton has gone from being not great at Atlas stones because of that bicep injury he had at 2020 World's Strongest Man to fully recovered and blasting through Atlas stones in his last two shows. He beat out Novikov, who's a good stone lifter, not the best in the world, but Novikov's a good stone lifter and fast. And Evan beat him out in both of those shows, one in a little bit of a photo finish and one the World Open in a little bit more of a time discrepancy. But Evan Singleton has turned into, like, that guy doesn't lift stones well, into that's one of the best stone lifters there are. So I think he throws a little wrinkle into the Brian Trey Mitchell kind of Atlas stone head-to-head who's better debate.
Yeah, and honestly, if you would have asked me about Evan Singleton even 2 years ago, I would have said, he's mediocre. He's not really that great. But honestly, in the last 2 years or so, he's getting to the point where he doesn't really have a weakness. He did great at the deadlift at Giants just recently, the deadlift competition. Yeah, he did great at the stones. Like, he's doing great at everything. He's fast. He's I don't know. He's turning into a phenomenal strongman. I'll definitely say that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he was known as being not great at the deadlift either, and he pulled 453.5 at the World Open at the deadlift championships. So one of several guys to do it. Novikov did it, Gabe Pena did it, a few different guys. So yeah, he's corrected his weaknesses for sure. So yeah, I think that's our discussion for this evening. So once again, let's just go through what those events are for folks that didn't know. So the way we think this will break down is day one, log for max, then super yoke, then bag toss over bar with a series of bags of increasing weights over a 15-foot bar, then a car squat, not car deadlift. And then day two, we're thinking Hummer tire deadlift for max, wheelbarrow arm over arm medley, circus dumbbell, and finishing up with the Atlas stone. So those are the events and the lineup for the Shaw Classic 2021, the second annual Shaw Classic event breakdown and lineup. Thanks again for joining me on My Block Strongest Man. If you haven't liked this stream, please do so. Please subscribe to the channel. And as soon as we end here, head on over to Hunger Smash Fitness and subscribe to Isaac's channel as well and watch a bunch of his wonderful content. I thank you again for joining us this evening on our Shaw Classic event breakdown and lineup discussion. And of course, until next time, as always, ciao, homie.